I'm Rocky, or Rim, and...
I'm looking for you.
And I'm Jared, or Jam. Sorry if I scared you.
Don't do that.
And today we're talking about the Shining miniseries from 1997. And we have kind of an unpopular opinion about this one.
Yes, and there's a lot of different reasons, and we'll go right into them.
First off, our unpopular opinion is we prefer this over the Stanley Kubrick version. And I think a big part of that is because we get to know more about these characters. And personally, I find them a lot more relatable than in the Kubrick version.
Yeah, I think so too. They really get in depth with the family dynamic and the situation, the backstories, everything.
Yeah.
It's more detail.
And speaking of backstories, like the Room 237 lady or the Room 217 lady, whichever one you prefer, we actually get to know her backstory in this film. Whereas in the Kubrick version, she's just kind of another ghost in the hotel.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting because it makes you care about the characters a little more. Mm-hmm. And I know that, again, a very popular opinion is that some of the scenes are too long and drawn out. And I think all the conversations are important. I didn't feel like any of them dragged or were too long, although a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think the one thing I do agree on is the hotel tours at the very beginning of it. I think those went on a little bit too long, and they're just trying to show off the Stanley Hotel a lot. And to me, it did not really add a whole lot to the story. So, like, part one could have been cut down by about 10 minutes. The other complaint is the one where Jack and Wendy are sitting out in the lobby area in front of the fireplace late one night. A lot of people say, like, that scene drags on way too long. Like, Nostalgia Critic brings this up. I don't know. I think it's all character development, and personally, I don't find it boring at all.
No, I don't either. Again, you connect with the characters by, seeing Jack's alcoholism, and, she's still kind of leery of him after breaking Danny's arm and flipping out on him, and it's very real.
Yeah.
And raw. Mm-hmm. And it just really lets you into their world.
Yeah, that's kind of one comparison about the miniseries versus the Kubrick version is I kind of view the Kubrick version as just this horrific abstract piece of artwork, whereas the miniseries is just more gritty and just,
story-driven, character-driven, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, same story, but two kind of different ways of telling it.
Yeah, and that applies to Jack as well. Like the Jack Nicholson one, I kind of get the feeling like he kind of resents his wife and doesn't really like his son at the very start of that one. Yeah. So like by the time he kind of goes crazy, it's like you almost kind of expected him to, just from being snowed in all winter. Whereas Jack in this miniseries, he is trying to better himself. He is trying to do good by his family, but he still has this,
his demons.
Yeah, he still has this monkey on his shoulder. He's trying to fight his alcoholism.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson, kind of always playing Jack Nicholson. He's you could just see the crazy in his eyes right off the bat. Mm-hmm. For him to have turned was just not a surprise.
No.
It was excellent. He isn't like the Jack in the miniseries, because the Jack in the miniseries has more personality than just the crazy. He shows his vulnerable side. Whereas Jack Nicholson only has one scene when he has the nightmare, and he's just, drooling and blubbering, and I had a dream that I killed you guys, and that's the only scene in the whole movie that he shows any kind of vulnerability or real humanity.
Yeah, and that obviously has a lot to do with just the script in general. Like, Steven Weber had a lot more of that humanity to play off of. I was reading, too, that was one of the things that Steven Weber was attracted to in the first place, was because just this telling of it was just a lot more relatable. And Rebecca De Mornay had a lot of the same feelings as well. I think Steven Weber did it right for this. Because here's a guy that's coming off of Wings. Like, he was filming Wings at the same time that he was filming The Shining. So here's a guy going from goofy Brian Hackett to alcoholic, going mad Jack Torrance up in the Stanley Hotel, or the Overlook Hotel, sorry. Steven Weber, made the very, very wise choice on his part to not try to do another Jack Nicholson or feel like he's got to live up to it.
I mean, although obviously they're the same character, but they are actually quite different, other than, you know, the alcoholism and going mad from the hotel.
Yeah.
Other than that, they actually are very different characters.
Yeah.
And so it was great that Steven Weber was able to play into that and showcase the different things. And yeah, put his little Brian Hackett's in there.
Yeah, there's a deleted scene where he's goofing around with Danny, and I'm like, that's Brian Hackett right there. You know?
Yeah, and the wives were, you know, different as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, Shelley Duvall's character is kind of quiet and demure and, you know, whatever. And, you know, Rebecca De Mornay's character is just, you know, she's strong-willed. She's like a fighter and just, you know, I mean, she obviously gets weepy and such, you know, here and there. But she's strong. She's hanging in there, you know.
Like, the other interesting thing about this is it's filmed at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. And that's in 1975. That's where Stephen King stayed, in room 217. And that's where he got the idea for The Shining. I don't think he wrote it there, but that's where he got the idea from. And the miniseries is largely filmed right there in the hotel.
And the miniseries does follow the book a little more, so it's kind of fitting that they chose the location of the Stanley to shoot this.
It really puts you in Stephen King's headspace, just having it there. So when we were out in the Denver area to see Weird Al play at Red Rocks, we decided to side trip up to the Stanley.
Yeah, it's very surreal being there after seeing the miniseries. It's like, that's where Steven Weber hits Rebecca De Mornay. We stood by those stairs. There's the Otis elevator.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Oh, yeah. When you were taking my picture by that grand staircase, the whole time I'm thinking of, this is where Weber walks out and shit goes down.
Any of you guys get a chance to go out there, go see it.
But for how much I love this miniseries, it is not without its flaws.
The first thing being the hedge animals. I thought it was really cool. In the first scene, you see them with Jack, and they do all kinds of jump cuts. And every time they get closer and closer.
Yeah.
And then later on, when you see them with Danny, they actually do really bad CGI.
Yeah.
And it really, really takes away from the scene. It's not scary at all. It's just cheesy.
It's just cheesy. And I understand it because it's a made-for-TV movie. They got a TV budget and all that stuff. But I don't know. I kind of think, like, do something with the jump cuts. Because before they started walking, it actually was building up to be kind of a creepy scene. The thing about the hedge animals that I'm mostly disappointed about is when Dick Halloran shows up at the end of the movie. In the book, he actually fights one of them. And lights it on fire and all that stuff. So I was kind of upset that they didn't do that. He just gets out of the snowcat and just...
Hello, you old bitch.
One of the best quotes in the whole movie, though. And I personally did not care for the effect of the floating Tony. I like that whole concept or that version of Tony, but I just did not care for the floating effect.
And I didn't mind that so much, but yeah, the floating part, they probably could have just had him stand there and it would have been a little better.
Yeah.
So we just mentioned how the hedge animals weren't really scary with the CGI, and one thing about this miniseries is it's not really scary, but there are a couple of scary moments that I think we can both agree on.
One was the bathtub lady, because the makeup effects were insane on that. Like, just blew Stanley Kubrick's movie out of the water as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we're not trying to shit on the Kubrick version at all with this. We just preferred the miniseries, but in that case, way more creepy to me.
Yeah, and I don't even think they did a whole lot with her makeup.
Not
I
a
think
ton.
It was, and it was way more effective. So the second scary moment of the miniseries would be when Danny has a vision. He starts to trance out and he sees his dad, and he looks like a zombie, and he's got the contacts in his eyes, and he's just got that smile and the mallet, and he's just, oh yeah, that's pretty creepy. That was really, really well done.
Yeah, so really pushing the point of this is a 4.5 hour movie, and we got 2 scenes that actually scared us. I totally agree when people say that this is not a very scary movie, so I also don't feel like that's the point, really. Like, it is supposed to be scary, kind of a ghost story, but...
kind of haunting, eerie, more than anything.
Yeah. I do love the Stanley Kubrick version with Jack Nicholson. It's just it's a classic. Like, you can't go wrong with that movie.
It's excellent. Most people do prefer Kubrick's version, and that's fine. That's fine if that's your opinion. We just prefer the miniseries, and you know, we gave you all the reasons why. And we just kind of wonder why there's so much hate for this series, though. I feel like it's kind of underrated. I mean, it's fine if you prefer the Kubrick version, but a lot of people just shit on this. And I can see some of their points to a point. But for them to just knock it down like it's the worst thing ever made, I don't understand it.
No, I don't either.
So it's, you know, I don't know if it's just Kubrick fans all the way. We're Kubrick all the way. Screw whoever made that, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you guys have any answers about that,
Yeah.
let us know.
So in closing, if you like the Kubrick version or the miniseries, whichever version you prefer, you can't go wrong with The Shining. So yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe.
And let us know in the comments what you think about the miniseries. Do you love it? Do you hate it?
Please help us grow this channel during the winter months. We really need company.
We're gonna start to go mad.
All right, screw it. Bye.
All right, bye. So the interesting...
This is terrible.
It's not funny. Let me clear my throat. Hey, we're doing way better than we did the other day. It's gonna be filled with bloopers.